In the bustling streets of New York City, Sarah Jennings hurried through the crowd, her eyes fixed on the canvas bag slung over her shoulder. She was running late for her art class, and the last thing she needed was to be stuck in traffic. As she turned the corner, she collided with a tall, handsome man, causing her bag to spill its contents onto the sidewalk. "I'm so sorry," Sarah exclaimed, bending down to gather her things. The man knelt beside her, his expression apologetic. "No, it's my fault. I wasn't watching where I was going." As their eyes met, Sarah felt a jolt of electricity pass between them. She was struck by his piercing blue eyes and rugged good looks. "I'm Sarah," she said, extending her hand. "Mike," the man replied, shaking her hand. "Mike Reynolds." They stood up, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their meeting was more than just a coincidence. She brushed off her clothes and gestured to the scattered papers on the ground. "I'm late for a class. Would you mind helping me gather these?" Mike nodded, and together they quickly gathered up the papers and stuffed them back into Sarah's bag. As they worked, Sarah couldn't help but steal glances at Mike, feeling a strange pull towards him. "Thank you for your help," Sarah said, standing up straight. "My pleasure," Mike replied, flashing her a smile that sent her heart aflutter. As Sarah hurried off to her class, she couldn't shake the feeling that her encounter with Mike was the beginning of something extraordinary. Later that evening, Mike couldn't get Sarah out of his mind. He found himself sketching her face, trying to capture the spark he had seen in her eyes. As he finished the sketch, he noticed a strange symbol had appeared in the corner of the page, one he had never seen before. Puzzled, Mike flipped through his sketchbook, realizing that the symbol had appeared in several of his recent sketches. He couldn't explain it, but he felt a strong connection between the symbol, Sarah, and the dreams that had been haunting him for weeks. Unbeknownst to Sarah and Mike, their meeting was just the beginning of a series of events that would change their lives forever. Little did they know, their fates were already intertwined in ways they could never have imagined. As Sarah walked through the bustling streets of New York City, her mind was consumed with the thoughts of Mike. She couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter was more than just a chance meeting. She had spent the entire night tossing and turning, unable to get him out of her mind. Determined to unravel the mystery of their connection, Sarah decided to visit a local bookstore in search of answers. She spent hours poring over books on symbolism and ancient myths, hoping to find a clue that would explain the strange symbol that had appeared in her artwork. Meanwhile, Mike was also consumed with the thoughts of Sarah. He had spent the day sketching her face over and over again, trying to capture the essence of the woman who had captured his heart in just a few fleeting moments. As he sketched, the strange symbol continued to appear in his drawings, a constant reminder of the inexplicable connection he felt to Sarah. That night, as Sarah sat at her desk, surrounded by books and papers, she noticed something peculiar about the symbol. It seemed to be part of a larger pattern, one that stretched back through history. Intrigued, she began to research further, uncovering a trail of clues that led her to a startling revelation. The symbol was known as the Chain of Fate, a mysterious symbol that appeared throughout history in connection with the stories of love, destiny, and tragedy. It was said to be a sign of a deep connection between two souls, one that transcended time and space. Meanwhile, Mike was also on a quest for answers. He had reached out to a friend who was well-versed in ancient symbolism, hoping to shed light on the mysterious symbol that had appeared in his sketches. Together, they uncovered a similar trail of clues that led them to the same startling revelation, the chain of fate. As Sarah and Mike delved deeper into the mystery, they discovered that the chain of fate was not just a symbol but a tangible connection between their families that stretched back generations. It was a bond that had been forged in love and sealed with a promise, one that had been forgotten with time but was now coming to light once again. Realizing that their encounter was no mere coincidence, Sarah and Mike knew that their lives were about to change in ways they could never have imagined. They were bound by a fate that had been written in the stars, and they were determined to unravel its secrets, no matter where the journey took them. Sarah and Mike's discovery of the chain of fate left them both reeling. They were amazed by the depth of their connection and the implications it had for their lives. Determined to learn more, they decided to delve deeper into their family histories to uncover the truth behind the mysterious symbol. Sarah began by visiting her grandmother, a sprightly woman in her 80s who had always been fascinated by their family's past. As Sarah showed her the symbol and explained its significance, her grandmother's eyes widened in recognition. "I've seen that symbol before," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's a family crest, a symbol of our lineage." Sarah was stunned. She had never heard of any family crest, let alone one that had such a profound meaning. She pressed her grandmother for more information, and slowly the old woman began to recount a tale that had been passed down through generations. According to her grandmother, the chain of fate was a symbol of a promise made by their ancestors, a promise to protect a great treasure that had been hidden away for centuries. The treasure was said to be a source of great power, one that could change the course of history if it fell into the wrong hands. Meanwhile, Mike was on a similar quest for answers. He had reached out to his own family members, uncovering a similar tale of a hidden treasure and a promise made long ago. As he pieced together the fragments of his family's history, he realized that his connection to Sarah was not just a coincidence, but a part of a much larger plan. Determined to learn more, Sarah and Mike decided to combine their efforts and work together to uncover the truth behind the chain of fate. They traveled to various locations across the country, following clues and piecing together the puzzle of their intertwined destinies. Along the way, they encountered others who were also linked to the chain of fate, forming a makeshift family united by a common purpose. Together, they delved into ancient archives, deciphered cryptic messages, and braved treacherous terrain, all in search of the truth. As they drew closer to the heart of the mystery, Sarah and Mike realized that their connection was not just a matter of fate, but of choice. They had chosen to embark on this journey together, and in doing so had forged a bond that was stronger than any chain. Sarah and Mike's quest for the truth behind the chain of fate had led them to the remote town of Willow Creek, where they believed the final clue to the treasure's location lay hidden. However, their journey was far from over, as they soon discovered that they were not the only ones seeking the treasure. As they arrived in Willow Creek, Sarah and Mike were greeted by a sense of unease. The town seemed deserted, with an eerie silence hanging in the air. Undeterred, they pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets that lay hidden in its depths. Their first stop was the local library, where they hoped to find clues in the town's historical records. However, they were met with hostility from the librarian, who seemed intent on thwarting their efforts. Undeterred, Sarah and Mike continued their search, uncovering clues that led them to an abandoned mine on the outskirts of town. As they explored the mine, they stumbled upon a group of treasure hunters who had been following their every move. The leader of the group, a man named Jackson, revealed that he had been tracking Sarah and Mike ever since they had arrived in Willow Creek. He claimed that the treasure belonged to him and that he would stop at nothing to claim it for himself. Sarah and Mike knew they were in danger, but they refused to back down. They had come too far to let the treasure slip through their fingers now. With the help of their newfound allies, they devised a plan to outsmart Jackson and secure the treasure once and for all. As they prepared for their final showdown, Sarah and Mike knew that the stakes were higher than ever. The treasure they sought was not just a material prize, but a symbol of their connection and the promise they had made to uncover the truth. They were prepared to risk everything to fulfill that promise, even if it meant facing their greatest challenge yet. Sarah and Mike's confrontation with Jackson had left them shaken but determined to continue their quest for the treasure. With the help of their allies, they devised a plan to outsmart Jackson and gain access to the hidden chamber where the treasure was said to be located. As they made their way through the abandoned mine, Sarah and Mike couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The darkness seemed to press in around them, and the air was thick with tension. Finally, they reached the hidden chamber, a small room carved out of the rock with a single chest sitting in the center. Sarah and Mike approached the chest cautiously, unsure of what they would find inside. As they opened the chest, they were greeted by a blinding light that filled the room. Inside the chest was not gold or jewels, but a series of ancient scrolls and artifacts. As they examined the scrolls, Sarah and Mike realized that they had uncovered not just a treasure, but a piece of history that had been lost to time. The scrolls contained the story of their ancestors, detailing the promise that had been made to protect the treasure and the sacrifices that had been made to keep it hidden. But the most shocking discovery came when they uncovered a map that revealed the true nature of the treasure. It was not gold or jewels, but a source of great power, one that could change the course of history if it fell into the wrong hands. Realizing the danger that the treasure posed, Sarah and Mike knew that they could not let it fall into the wrong hands. They made a solemn vow to protect the treasure and keep its location a secret, ensuring that it would remain hidden from those who sought to exploit its power. As they left the chamber, Sarah and Mike knew that their lives would never be the same. They had uncovered a secret that had been buried for centuries, and in doing so, had forged a bond that would last a lifetime. Sarah and Mike emerged from the hidden chamber, their minds reeling from the discoveries they had made. As they made their way back to town, they knew that their journey was far from over. The treasure they had uncovered was not just a physical prize, but a source of great power that could change the course of history. Back in town, Sarah and Mike reunited with their allies, who were eager to hear about their discoveries. Together, they pored over the ancient scrolls and artifacts, piecing together the story of their ancestors and the promise that had been made to protect the treasure. As they discussed their next steps, Sarah and Mike were approached by a stranger who claimed to have information about the treasure. The stranger, a historian named Dr. Reynolds, revealed that he was a descendant of one of the original guardians of the treasure. Dr. Reynolds explained that the treasure was not just a source of power, but a key to unlocking a series of ancient gateways that led to other realms. He warned Sarah and Mike that there were others who sought to exploit the treasure for their own gain, and that they must be vigilant in their efforts to protect it. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah and Mike set out to locate the ancient gateways. With Dr. Reynolds' help, they deciphered the clues left behind by their ancestors and discovered the locations of the gateways. As they traveled from gateway to gateway, Sarah and Mike encountered new challenges and obstacles, each more dangerous than the last. They faced ancient traps, treacherous terrain, and rival treasure hunters who sought to claim the treasure for themselves. But through it all, Sarah and Mike remained steadfast in their determination to protect the treasure and uncover its true purpose. They knew that their journey was not just about finding a treasure, but about fulfilling a promise made long ago. As they reached the final gateway, Sarah and Mike knew that their lives would never be the same. They had embarked on a journey that had taken them to the edge of the unknown, and in doing so, had forged a bond that would last a lifetime. Sarah and Mike stood before the final gateway, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They had come so far on their journey, overcoming countless obstacles and challenges, but they knew that the hardest part was yet to come. As they prepared to enter the gateway, they were approached by a man named Jackson, the same man who had tried to thwart their efforts before. Jackson claimed to have had a change of heart and offered to help them unlock the gateway. Despite their reservations, Sarah and Mike reluctantly agreed to let Jackson join them. As they entered the gateway, they were transported to a mysterious realm unlike anything they had ever seen before. The realm was filled with ancient ruins and crumbling temples, all shrouded in an eerie mist. Sarah and Mike knew that they were close to uncovering the true purpose of the treasure, but they also knew that danger lurked around every corner. As they explored the realm, they were ambushed by a group of rival treasure hunters who had been following their every move. A fierce battle ensued, with Sarah and Mike fighting bravely to defend themselves. But as the dust settled, they realized that they had been betrayed by Jackson, who had sided with the rival treasure hunters in exchange for a share of the treasure. Feeling betrayed and defeated, Sarah and Mike knew that they had to regroup and come up with a new plan if they were to succeed. With the help of their allies, Sarah and Mike devised a plan to lure Jackson and the rival treasure hunters into a trap. They set a series of elaborate traps and decoys, leading their enemies on a wild goose chase while they made their way to the heart of the realm. As they reached the final chamber, Sarah and Mike were greeted by a sight that took their breath away. The treasure they had been seeking was not just a physical prize, but a source of immense power that could reshape the world. But before they could claim the treasure, they were confronted by Jackson and the rival treasure hunters who had finally caught up to them. A fierce battle ensued, with Sarah and Mike fighting bravely to protect the treasure and each other. In the end, Sarah and Mike emerged victorious, defeating Jackson and the rival treasure hunters and securing the treasure for themselves. As they stood before the treasure, they knew that their journey was far from over, but they also knew that they had proven themselves to be true guardians of the chain of fate. With the treasure secured and their enemies defeated, Sarah and Mike were finally able to take a moment to catch their breath. They had come so far on their journey, facing danger and betrayal at every turn, but they knew that their quest was not yet complete. As they examined the treasure, they realized that it was not just a source of power, but a key to unlocking the ancient gateways that connected their world to others. With the help of Dr. Reynolds and their allies, they began to decipher the symbols and markings on the treasure, revealing a map that showed the locations of the gateways. Determined to uncover the truth behind the gateways, Sarah and Mike set out on a new adventure, traveling to the far corners of the world in search of answers. Along the way, they encountered new allies and enemies, each with their own agenda and motivations. As they traveled, Sarah and Mike began to piece together the true nature of the gateways. They discovered that the gateways were not just portals to other realms, but to other times as well. They found themselves traveling through history, witnessing events that had shaped the world as they knew it. But as they delved deeper into the mysteries of the gateways, they began to uncover a dark truth. The gateways were not just a source of power, but a weapon that could be used to reshape reality itself. They realized that they were not the only ones seeking to control the gateways, and that there were forces at work that would stop at nothing to claim their power. As they raced against time to uncover the truth, Sarah and Mike found themselves embroiled in a battle for the fate of the world. They knew that they had to act quickly if they were to prevent the gateways from falling into the wrong hands, but they also knew that the key to stopping the darkness lay within themselves. In the end, Sarah and Mike discovered that the true power of the gateways was not in their ability to reshape reality, but in their ability to connect people across time and space. They realized that the true treasure was not the power they held, but the connections they had forged along the way. As they stood before the final gateway, Sarah and Mike knew that their journey was far from over, but they also knew that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Sarah and Mike stood before the final gateway, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They had traveled to the far corners of the world, facing danger and betrayal at every turn, but they knew that their journey was far from over. The final gateway stood before them, a shimmering portal to another realm. As they prepared to enter the gateway, they were approached by a figure cloaked in shadow. The figure revealed himself to be an ancient guardian of the gateways, tasked with protecting them from those who sought to abuse their power. The Guardian explained that the gateways were not just portals to other realms, but to other timelines as well. He revealed that the gateways had been created by an ancient civilization known as the Timekeepers, who had mastered the art of time travel. The Guardian warned Sarah and Mike that the gateways were unstable and that using them could have unforeseen consequences. He urged them to use caution and to consider the impact of their actions on the fabric of time itself. Undeterred, Sarah and Mike stepped through the gateway, emerging in a world unlike anything they had ever seen before. The air crackled with energy and the sky shimmered with strange colors. They knew that they had entered a realm beyond time, where past, present, and future converged. As they explored the realm, they encountered echoes of their own past and future selves, each facing their own challenges and trials. They realized that the gateways were not just a means of travel, but a mirror that reflected their own inner struggles and desires. As they journeyed through the realm, Sarah and Mike began to understand the true nature of the treasure they had sought. It was not just a source of power, but a catalyst for change, a key to unlocking their own potential and shaping their own destiny. But as they reached the heart of the realm, they encountered a final challenge that threatened to undo everything they had worked for. A dark force, known only as the Void, sought to consume the realm and erase it from existence. Sarah and Mike knew that they were the only ones who could stop the Void, but they also knew that doing so would require them to make the ultimate sacrifice. As they prepared to face the Void, they knew that their journey had led them to this moment, and that they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With their allies by their side, Sarah and Mike confronted the Void, using the power of the gateways to seal it away and restore balance to the realm. As they watched the last traces of the Void disappear, they knew that their journey was finally at an end. As they emerged from the gateway, Sarah and Mike were greeted by their allies, who had been waiting anxiously for their return. They knew that their journey had changed them forever, but they also knew that they had emerged stronger and more determined than ever before. As they looked out at the world before them, Sarah and Mike knew that their adventure was far from over, but they also knew that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that their bond was stronger than time itself. Sarah and Mike emerged from the gateway, their bodies weary but their spirits high. They had traveled through time and space, facing challenges that had tested their strength and resolve, but they had emerged victorious. The final gateway had been sealed, and the threat of the void had been vanquished. As they returned to their own time and place, Sarah and Mike were greeted as heroes. Their allies cheered their return, grateful for their bravery and determination. But Sarah and Mike knew that their journey was not yet over. They had seen the impact of their actions across time and space, and they knew that they had a responsibility to ensure that the gateways remained sealed and that the balance of time was maintained. With the help of their allies, they began to formulate a plan to monitor the gateways and prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. But as they settled back into their lives, Sarah and Mike began to feel a sense of emptiness. They had spent so long on their quest, so focused on their goal, that they had neglected the world around them. They realized that their true treasure was not the power they had gained, but the connections they had forged and the lives they had touched along the way. Determined to make a difference, Sarah and Mike embarked on a new journey, using their knowledge and experience to help others and make the world a better place. They traveled far and wide, spreading their message of hope and unity, and inspiring others to follow in their footsteps. As they looked back on their journey, Sarah and Mike knew that they had faced their fears and overcome great challenges, but they also knew that their greatest strength had been their unwavering belief in each other. They knew that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that their bond was stronger than time itself. And so, as the sun set on their final adventure, Sarah and Mike knew that their journey was far from over. But they also knew that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that their bond was stronger than time itself. As the sun sets on our final adventure, we close the chapter on the chain of fate. Just as Sarah and Mike embarked on a journey of discovery and danger, so too have we been swept away by their tale of courage and resilience. Through time and space, they faced challenges that tested their resolve, but they emerged victorious, proving that true strength lies not in power, but in the bonds we forge and the connections we make. As Sarah and Mike return to their lives, they carry with them the lessons they have learned and the memories they have made. They know that their journey has changed them forever, but they also know that as long as they have each other, they can face whatever challenges lie ahead. And so, as we bid farewell to Sarah and Mike, we are reminded that the greatest treasure is not gold or jewels, but the bonds of friendship and the courage to face the unknown. Thank you for joining us on this epic adventure. Remember, as long as we have each other, we can face whatever challenges come our way. Until next time, remember to cherish the moments, for they are the true treasures of life.